All right. I think I am finally live. Yeah? Cool. Oh, sweet. Um, Kurt Hobbs says, "Hey Drex, I'm still at work, so I missed the Q&A bit, but I wanted to ask if you've tried together opposite cat eyes. I can picture them, but I can't make it happen. No need to answer until the Q&A portion." Yes, I can indeed do them. I will show them off in the Q&A portion so that you can come check them out when when you're done with work. Yes, everybody in the chat, please remind me to do together opposite cat eyes. Actually, let me just do it for you right quick, Kurt, if you're in the audience. Together opposite cat eyes. Bum, bum, bum. So fun fact, we're using a slightly different camera setup than we usually do because we're going to be playing around with dance today. Here's cat eyes in together opposites. You can either do them with your hands poised width apart, or you can have them overlap like such. Technically speaking, I think you can even, do them in wheel plane if you so choose. This is actually not that bad. It's just a matter of making sure that you really feel them go up and down at the same time. So yeah, Kurt, that's cat eyes in together opposite. And if you have already ducked out of the chat, no worries. You can check that on the replay, of course. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. Cool. So yeah, everybody out there able to hear me okay? I know that some people had said that the audio setup was a little weird last time, that sometimes as I was starting to talk, audio wasn't coming through terribly well. I went through and changed the audio settings, but I did not have time to test them. This is part of the reason why I'm getting on late today. So yeah, let me know if y'all can hear me loud and clear out there. That'd be super helpful. Mike Malara says, "You want to see me glow stringing?" Hey, that's not going to happen this month, but maybe if you got a topic related to glow stringing that you'd like to suggest for next month, I would be down with it. I would definitely be down with it. I have the hardest time brainstorming the topics for these things, so if you've got a glow stringing related thing that you'd like to see me cover next month, I really appreciate it because it would save me some effort in brainstorming. Hey there, Jill. How you doing? Cool. I'm going to give people a few minutes to kind of saunter in here because, I came up with the idea of doing this live stream very much at the last minute. July wound up being an incredibly busy month for me, so it just was easier to get this in now than it would have been to try and get it in a little bit later in the month, which we've only got a week left. So this was the only Friday I had left. So here we are. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with Tech Tips, that is my live stream Q&As that I do on my YouTube channel. Number one, they're sponsored by UltraPoi. Thank you so much, UltraPoi, for making these live streams possible. Basically, the way this works is that I spend the first half an hour teaching a lesson on a topic of my choice. And then I take a 30-minute Q&A, and y'all are allowed to ask me any old questions you want. If you have specific tricks that you'd like to see tips on, Kurt there, of course, had a specific thing he wanted to see. I answer the questions in the order they come in, unless you send me a super chat like dear Kurt did here. If you send me a super chat, I will advance your question to the top of the queue. So yeah, the way that you do that, there's a little square button for those of you who are out there in checking this out on the chat end of things. And it's a little square button that's got a $sign in it. You click on that. It basically sends me a tip. It supports the channel. And I bump your question up in the queue because all the tips come straight to me. So if you can afford to give me a super chat, I would appreciate it, and I will bump your question up in the queue. But we will first have a little lesson, which is going to be an interesting and fun thing to navigate in itself. I think this is the first one that I've taught completely on poi dance. I kind of have a combo to teach y'all if the scheduling for this works out. Also, it is currently 94 degrees in Washington, D.C., 94 Fahrenheit, of course, what is that in Celsius? Inquiring minds want to know. If you'll permit me a moment to see if I can figure that out. What is cool? So we're at like 34 Celsius here in DC right now. I live on the third floor of a building, and I cannot operate the air conditioner while I am doing this live stream because it's totally going to mess up the audio. So I apologize because I'm going to be drenched with sweat by the end of this. I hope y'all won't hold that against me. Cool. I'm going to give people just a couple more minutes to go ahead and filter in here. Take a quick look at the chat. Magical Fox Girl says, hello, hear you just fine over here. That's great to hear. Excellent. Mike Malara says, I got you, man, tutorial for behind the back bicep wraps or behind the back alternate bicep wraps, I guess. Oh, God. Why does it have to be a behind the back trick? I have short, stubby arms. Behind the back is a pain in the butt for me. My shoulders are going to hurt so bad at the end of that. All right, I'll roll that one around. I'll roll that one around. Cool. Uriel Raul Hurtado Balbuena says, thanks for your videos. Really inspire me. Saludos desde Mexico. Hello from Washington, D.C. Saludos desde Washington, D.C. as well. Thanks for joining me tonight. Also, let me know if you can place my accent. I have been told by Spanish speakers before that my accent sounds Argentinian, which is weird because I never had any Argentinian Spanish teachers. I had Castilian Spanish teachers, I had Mexican Spanish teachers, but I never had an Argentinian one. But yeah, I am told that my Spanish accent sounds Argentinian, so you can confirm whether that's the case or not. Yeah, Nui, ASDF. Hello, everyone. Ed King says, hi, Drex. Hi from Cyprus. Goodness. Hello from DC. Hello, Cyprus. Or hello, Ed King from Cyprus. That it must be quite late there right now. Cool. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Sonic Hill. It's been 40 degrees in the UK. Not fun. No, y'all are not used to that, are you? 40 degrees does happen pretty frequently here in Washington, D.C. during the summer, but that's pretty damn rare for y'all in the UK. I can imagine y'all must be melting out there. Stanislaus Bernardo says, hey, Drex, it would be nice to have some tips about breaking planes combined to dance moves. Cool. Yeah, we can definitely talk about that tonight for sure. Cool. It's 10 past the hour, so I think that we have had enough time for people to start filtering them in. So I'm going to go ahead and start on the lesson. We're going to be doing that until half past the hour and then switch over to Q&A. So this is going to kind of be a funky lesson. Why is this going to be a funky lesson? Well, because I have this series I'm working on right now on poi dance. The first of those videos came out last fall, and I'm still very proud of it. And there's another one that is going to be coming out at the very beginning of August. Spoilers. It is a video that took several weeks to record. Very, very difficult. Oh, the chat's popping off. What's going on? Highest Sonic Hill says highest ever temperatures on record. Fun fact. Fun fact indeed. Mike Malaro says behind the back poi / glow stringing equals buff tricep shoulders. Yeah, so here's the thing. My arm span is like an inch or two shorter than my height. So when I try and reach behind my back, I have a really, really difficult time, and it tends to hurt my shoulders. Yes, you get buff, but it like messes with the tendons in my shoulders. So I don't know. I'll think about it, all right? I'll think about it. Ed King, it is 2 o'clock. Just finished Fire Show in Bar Street. Love for your channel, many years. Outstanding. Well, thank you for spending your Friday wee hours of the evening with me. Anyhow, so there's a there, I literally have like this entire document that is an outline of stuff related to poi dance that I want to teach and like more specifically it is stuff about the art of poi spinning in general and how to make things work. How, for example, does this become something that has visual flair to it? Why those pieces specifically fit together? Why does an anti-brid look really cool and be visually appealing? And why, for example, does just like doing in-spin flowers and together same not seem as visually dynamic as, say, doing split time opposites anti-spin flowers? These are the questions I'm trying to answer in these videos. But I've wound up with a couple individual concepts outside the purveyal of those videos that still have to do with poi dance that I think are worth covering, but I can't find a good spot for them. So this live stream seemed like a good place to drop them. I don't know. Anywho, so basically I have three concepts that I want to play around with y'all in terms of poi dance. There are three things that I've discovered help add to poi spinning and make it look more interesting, that are relatively easy to do with your body and that that don't really fit with anything else I want to teach. So we're going to start off with a concept in dance called undercurves and overcurves. How you do this is fairly simple. You set your feet about a shoulder's width apart and you go ahead and you bend your left knee. Try and keep the top part of your body straight, and this moves your whole body over. Then bend your right knee, straighten out your left knee, and straighten out your right knee. You have just done an undercurve. That is, you've let your body trace out the bottom, really it's your hips, trace out the bottom of a circle. And really all there is to it is you just go ahead and bend those knees and let them carry you around in this little circle down, around, underneath. And we can also do this the other way. If you start off by bending that left knee, if you straighten both your legs and then bend your right knee, you do an overcurve. It's like you're bouncing back and forth over top of a circle, yeah? Now, undercurves and overcurves are a great way to add a little bit more interest to poi moves that happen with your hands in together same. So to vastly oversimplify things for a moment, let's say, for example, you're playing around with a fountain, which fountains are cool. We like fountains. But notice how when I do this as a tech tree here, without my feet or body moving, basically we're kind of expecting the poi to do all the work for us in terms of adding visual interest to this move. Now, if I add in overcurves and undercurves, it takes on a completely different character. Now I'm engaging my body in such a way that it is working with the movement of the poi, and I'm creating something interesting for the audience to see at the same time, yeah? Again, this is just me doing the thing from a tech tree stance. And this, overcurve, undercurve, overcurve, undercurve. Other great examples of this, you can say, take your buzzsaw flowers, boom, and take them into overcurves and undercurves. You can even, if you want to, take this concept and make it work with, say, stall chasers. You can have your entire body follow one of the poi around. And in that way, you can get your body more engaged in what you're doing. Like, this is a really, really minor tweak to the poi move. But again, look at the difference between I'm doing some stall chasers right here, and now, boom, I'm going to carry my body around as I'm doing the stall chasers. What a difference. What a difference. And again, this tends to work best when you're playing around with stuff that involves the hands staying in together same. Without a doubt, anything that is fountain related will really work well here. Those buzzsaw flowers, excellent fit for this. The one that I always do this with is pendulum versus triquetra. You have to speed up the undercurves and the overcurves to make sure that like you're keeping everything in time, but it works. There's a lot of different. You could use this to do a Mercedes. You're gonna have to do it quite rapidly, but yeah, there we go. Again, undercurves, overcurves. This is what it looks like when you're just sitting there. Boom, add your body into it. This now becomes a completely different thing. And it adds a layer of visual interest that most importantly is going to come across to people that are not flow people. People that are not flow people see these things and they're like, oh, that's really cool. So that is idea number one, undercurves and overcurves. Idea number two is something that I like to refer to as activations. I am not sure if this is a term that's found in the dance world elsewhere, but the idea is basically this. Let's say for the sake of argument that, boom, I'm kind of hanging out over here to stage left, and the only thing that's moving is my right hand. And as it comes around, boom, that's what takes me around into those overcurves and undercurves. So I can be here in a place where I'm essentially doing something on the order of like a suspension. I'm just hanging out, not really moving. But with my lack of movement here, this builds tension. And I can release that tension, boom, by having a moment when it seems like the poi come together and activate some motion in my body. You can do a similar thing, say like playing around with those stall chasers that we were just talking about, where boom, now you can get moving with it, right? I find a lot of examples of this just like flowing out where I'll just like kind of sit there for a second and I'll find a reason to get my whole body moving once there's a point of contact. I think part of what makes this work is, it's really, really hard for us to have true suspensions with the poi. There's almost always something that's still moving. So the more that you can create moments of stillness that get interrupted by, say, one of the poi moving around, and that is what gets things moving, it draws those combos out. It draws out the tension in them, and it makes it so when you get your whole body moving and both the poi moving, you're essentially paying something off. You're creating a moment where somebody is watching you, and they really want to know what comes next. When is he, boom, going to come out of that into something new? Yeah? So activations for me tend to happen with moves that involve flowers. And they also tend to involve stuff that say like, if I'm doing something like a windmill here where this is also great for doing those undercurves and overcurves, where I'm doing a windmill and like, boom, I have an excuse to stop for a moment. And it's helpful to take a move that everybody knows and find a way to interrupt it. So like, for example, if I'm, looks like this always happens. So for example, as I'm doing my fountains here, I, boom, can stop at one point. And here's the thing, we know to expect the fountain to keep on going. We know to expect it to keep going around, but boom, when I stop here, it adds that element of tension. And then boom, when I come out of it, it relieves that tension. It's like taking a breath and feeling like, the thing has come together as it was meant to, right? The final thing I'm going to add to this, or the final concept I'm going to throw at y'all, I was trying to come up with words for all of these things. These are things that I know are part of my style, but having names for them is kind of a challenge because, partially it's trying to distill down, well, what exactly is this thing that I'm talking about here? So for the last thing I'm going to give you, it is something that I am referring to as motion accents. What does that mean? Basically, it's looking for moments when your entire body can participate in the poi movement. So for example, like as I'm playing around with a split time opposites anti-spin flower here, I can boom, move my body from side to side and kind of check out here for a second, strike a pose. I'm looking for moments where my entire body can emphasize what the poise doing going to a particular direction. Say, if I want to find a stall, boom, I can do like a little head check. As my poi moving side to side, I can move side to side. As I am finding a rest for the poi, boom, I can find a rest for my body too. I can find a shape that my body can inhabit there. The thing I'm trying to really do is if I know that the poi are coming over to my right hand side, I do something with my body to emphasize that, to almost frame it, right? So, you know, again, a classic example of this is, say, like, you know, people doing like tri-catcher versus pendulum. If I get my body more into that, I can say, boom, drop out of it over here to the side. And did you see how I made that pause happen with my entire body? So rather than just like, boom, leaving it hanging over here, as I'm taking it around, I say that moment with my entire body. I get my knee involved, I pull it over to the side, I change my focus, all of these things. There's ways that you can make your entire body basically say what is happening with the poi and frame its movement. And I think that that is pretty cool. So I have 5 minutes before we start Q&A here. This actually went much faster than I thought it was going to. Also, I feel bad about these poise. So this is kind of becoming a running gag, but I always forget to charge my orb poi before I do these live streams, and the batteries always run dead on me because I use these constantly. So I am sorry that I always do that. I will try and do a better job of remembering to charge them before the next one, which I know that I've promised that before. Anyway, so I'm going to give you a brief little combo here. And it's going to start with us a little bit of a pose here, little bow stance. And I'm going to take my right hand around and I'm going to activate into an undercurve. Left hand goes around. I'm going to activate into an overcurve. I'm going to take it around, 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 and stop. Bringing this back and forth. And take it around into Zan's Diamond, which is a great fit for those body accents that I was talking about. Boom, bring it around to a stop, and yeah. So again, we do going around, going around, going around, activate, go around, go around, go around, and activate. We take it around under and over, under and over, under and over, and we stop. We take it into our Zan's Diamond, where we go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Boom, we bring it around to stop. I don't think that was exactly the same combo both times, but you get the idea. It's me using all of those concepts together to try and tell a little bit of a story and get my body involved in what's otherwise, this is a really, really basic poi combo. There's not much going on here. Boom. Boom. If I could be honest with you, this combo is really, really boring if the body movement isn't involved in it. But once you do involve the body movement, hey, great. It becomes less boring. All of a sudden, there's drama to it. What's he going to do next? What's he going to do next? Take it around. Take it around. Take it around and whoosh. Yeah. I think it adds so much when you get the body movement in it. And I think that 3 types of body movements that really, really help out, again, are those undercurves and overcurves. And those activations when we can take a moment that feels like it should be suspension and use it to create some motion. And of course, what was the term that I used for the third one? Motion accents. When you can use your entire body to get involved and reinforce the movement that the poi is doing. Use your body to frame it. So yeah, 3 concepts you can take forward in your poi spinning. I hope this made sense. Yeah, and let's go ahead and start Q&A, shall we? Gonna go ahead and pull up the QA screen, and I will try not to melt all over my computer here. Thank you all for hanging in there through that. Before we dive in, of course, big thank you to UltraPoi for sponsoring Tech Tips, for making this lesson possible. Yeah, these are their new Orb Poi Pros. I'm a fan of them. You can grab a set of these for yourself by using the promo code DrexFactor with a 0 instead of an O at checkout over at ultrapoi.com. That helps out the channel, gets you a discount, so everybody wins. Once again, that is DrexFactor with a 0 instead of an O at checkout. Thank you once more to UltraPoi for making Tech Tips possible. Cool. So start throwing your questions at me. You got a half an hour to get answers out of me. Half an hour. Keep them coming. Oh my goodness, it is hot in here. Third floor, and I'm dancing. I've made some bad choices. Let me see what I've been missing here in the chat. Squishy LB, hi. Just getting into poi, and you are making it so much fun for me. Great. I'm so glad to hear that, Squishy LB. Yay. Poi is fun for me too, at least when I'm not melting. Stanislav's Bordeaux, amazing tips. Big difference. Yes. Winning hearts and minds here. Yay. I'm glad to hear that that's coming across. Yay. Jill Danskin is saying, how do you do fountains and buzzsaws? I've not learned those yet. So a fountain is really just like a generic term for any time you have hands moving in together same, and both hands are producing flowers, and you're going around like that. Generally speaking, it gets reserved for cases where the hands are moving around in weaves, or say they have a different timing and direction. The poi have a different timing and direction than the hands. So say like the poi are in split time same direction, whereas the hands are in together same. Quite frankly, if you can do a waist wrap back and forth with your poi, you can do a fountain. Let me show you what I mean here. So, as you do a waist wrap back and forth, forwards weave on one side, reverse weave on the other side, forwards weave on one side, reverse weave on the other side. Now I have to carry my hands across my body to get from reverse to forwards and back again, right? Okay, so rather than taking them in a straight line across my midsection, what I can do instead is, as I'm going from reverse to forwards, I can take them up and over past my shoulders. Again, from reverse to forwards, up and over past my shoulders. As I'm going from forward to reverse, I can drop them down and around past my waist. Up and over, down and around. This is still just a waist wrap. This is still just going back and forth between a forwards weave and a reverse weave. All we've changed is that the hands go up and down as they go across our midsection, going from the reverse weave to the forwards weave. And yet, now we've created something that looks like a flower out of our weaves, because we have created a flower out of our weaves. You can also take this around in the other direction if you want to do an anti-spin. That might not be where you're at in your flow journey just yet. But yeah, long and short is that any one of these moments where you can pass your hands back and forth across your body, you can add vertical movement to it. And whenever you add that vertical movement to it, huzzah, you've turned it into a fountain. So yeah, that is something that is probably immediately actionable to you. So have some fun with that. I will be taking a poi sabbatical for medical reasons. What would you recommend for me to do during this time so I can come back better? So the reason I'm groaning at this is because I won the genetic lottery when it came to my ability to do this. I have never had any medical reasons to stop spinning. I've never hurt my shoulders. I've never pulled any muscles. And people will come up to me and ask me, like, how do I avoid injuries? How do I avoid injuries? I'm just like, I don't know, because it's not a problem for me. I can pass on some stuff that has been told to me by some medical professionals, which is there's an acronym RICE, which is rest, ice, compression, and elevation. If you have some stuff going on with your muscles, rest them, ice them to bring down the swelling in them, compression, and elevate them are all helpful things to do. I would also add to that, like as they start to recover, stretch them as well, get more of a range of movement in them. I would also, and I'm saying this blind, I have absolutely no idea what kind of injuries you might be dealing with here, but one thing that, like, it took me way too long to figure this out when I was spinning poi, but like if you go back and look at some of my earlier videos, say like if I'm playing around with fountains, I'm doing it like this, and you can see me pulling my shoulders up as I'm doing it. Whereas nowadays, you notice how I keep my shoulders down as I'm playing around with my fountains. This took me the longest time to train to do, but one thing, this is the thing I recommend for absolutely everybody, just because number one, it's better for your shoulders, and number two, it produces a more pleasing line. Whenever you are raising your hand up, don't shrug. You see how like my shoulder's coming up to meet my ear here? You don't want to have that happen. You want to keep your shoulder down. The range of motion that you have is the range of motion that you can do while keeping your shoulder right where it is. So if this is as high as you can move your hand without that, and this is as high as I can, that's right where you want to be. Now, here's the thing. It's not just that that's better for my shoulder. It's also like instead of doing this awful thing right here, this produces a more pleasing shape because now I have all this negative space between my neck and my upper arm here. And like, I'll show you the difference here. Like as I'm doing flowers, the shrugging versus keeping my shoulders down. And oh my goodness, doesn't that just look more pleasant? Doesn't that look less painful, number one? And number two, aren't the shapes that I'm exploring that much more pleasant to look at? So yeah, that's another thing I would recommend right there. Cool. Nui ACF, I have no questions now, but I want to thank you for your live stream. You're welcome. You are truly a very good teacher. No, I go to sleep since it's like 1:30 in the morning in Germany. Auf Wiedersehen. Have a good night, Nui ASDF. Squishy LB, I just started landing consistent 5-beat weaves from your videos. Excellent. 5-beat weaves are awesome. I'm having a lot of trouble with reverse stuff. I'm assuming that this is still 5-beat weaves, yeah? Reverse with 5-beat weave is awkward. Here's why. Take a look at your wrists. They move one way very, very easily. They don't move the other way nearly as easily. There's ways that you can stretch them out. But here's the thing. As you reach over them, you know, the bending inward, not a problem. The bending upward, like you have to for your reverse 5-beat weaves, that's not as easy a time. That's just anatomically something that human beings have a tough time with. What I would recommend is like rather than keeping it at your wrists, try and get your forearms involved as you're doing this. Give yourself just like a little bit more room to work with in terms of getting those extra degrees of twist. That might help. But also do recognize that just reverse 5-beat weaves are a pain in the butt because our anatomy isn't built to go both ways in equal measure. So, yeah. Congratulations and sorry. Yeah. Um, Sorry. If you have a more specific question on that, though, let me know. Stanislaus Bernardo says, I used a lot of the activation things with Tai Chi poses. Yes. And also movement accents with the same Tai Chi pose, but with curved moves. Yeah. So I think actually the activation thing comes from Tai Chi, now that you mention it. Fun fact, I started learning Tai Chi before I started taking dance classes. And I think that it is still a pretty active part of my style. But yeah, now that you mention it, like Tai Chi is full of activations, isn't it? That's totally where that comes from. Great call. Yes, that's a huge part of Tai Chi for sure. So yeah, if you want to get down your activations, maybe study some Tai Chi. It can't hurt, right? Next up, Magical Fox Girl. Thanks so much for your channel. You're so welcome. I just started 2 weeks ago, but I'm still healing from some old injuries. So far, so good, but stalls are really hard on my shoulders. Any suggestions on alternatives? Yes, actually, this is going to be super weird, but go on this journey with me. So I want to introduce you to a concept called a toroid. There's spoilers. There's a video on toroids coming out in early August as well. So here's the thing. Normally when we change direction with our poi, we are stalling, yeah? Or we're doing like pendulums. Pendulums are a little bit easier on your shoulder. This might be a good place to start. What if I told you that there was a way to change the direction of the poi without having to stop it moving? These things where we take all the momentum out of the poi, like in a stall or a pendulum, are things that we call 0 points. They're points where we're taking away the momentum of the poi. Now here's the thing, when we're taking away the momentum of the poi, that momentum has to go somewhere. And generally speaking, it creates a little bit of wear and tear on our arms, specifically because we're kind of like, taking the momentum with us. We're just like positioning the poi in such a way that like it's less noticeable that we're kind of taking the shock of that momentum into our own bodies. Now I'm going to show you something that's going to blow your mind. This is something called an anti-bend toroid. Anti-bend toroid basically involves moving the poi. Let me show you from the front here. So this is going to look basically like a triangle to you. Toroids are really, really funky because essentially they're made up of all plane bends here. So like, say when you take a 2-beat weave, if you take that cross point, you see where it switches planes right in front of me, and I point that up towards the ceiling. So it's like I'm doing the weave towards the ceiling instead of towards the camera. Great. Now when I come down on my left side here, boom, I sweep the poi around towards my stomach, and then I can pull it back up into a vertical plane. But now it's reverse direction. It's spinning backwards, right? So now I can do like a reverse 2-beat face towards the ceiling. And as I come down, boom, I sweep the poi out away from me now. Away, away, away. And now as it's coming back towards me, boom, I can pop it back up into a vertical place where it's once again going forwards. So what happens when you're going through all these positions here is that the direction of the poi is spinning changes every time you go through it, right? So here's something fun you can do with this. You can change your direction without having to stop the poi from spinning at all. All you have to do is a couple of these plane bends, right? So as I'm doing this weave right here, I can say, whoo, take it out and around in one of those toroids, whoo, and switch back. you all see that? Let me show you from the side here. So as I'm doing my forwards weave here, I can, boom, take it around, and look at that now. My poi are in opposites, and again, I can take this around into a weave. So I personally think there's a lot of opportunities here to do timing and direction changes that are less of a hassle for the body because, well, really there's no point in which there's really a 0 point per se. You're never taking the momentum out of the poi like you would with a stall or a pendulum. You're just bending the plane of the poi until it moves in the direction that you want it to. And anti-bend toroids are the way to do it. Yes, there will be a tutorial on them coming up in the next few months here. But I think that there was a day when I was playing around and I was just like, what can I do with toroids that I've never really played with before? And before I knew it, I had found this and was just like, why didn't I learn how to change timing and direction like this in the beginning, you know? It's like so much, in a lot of ways it feels simpler. But yeah, that is one great untapped way of doing timing and direction changes that I think is less of a strain on the body, and specifically on the shoulders. So maybe try that out. Yeah? Pardon me. Cool. So Stanislas Bernadotte, but it's greater on a more natural poses and also on basic dance moves. What do you think about salsa, etc.? Have you ever think about type of timing dances, valse or salsa, and ternary dance and binary? So I'll be real with you. There's a bunch of there's a bunch of terms in there that I don't recognize. I know what salsa is. So salsa is what we refer to as a partner dance that specifically where I live, we'll sometimes refer to it as a social dance. That is a dance that you deliberately do with at least one partner. So I have actually done some social dance stuff with partner poi. And I don't think we've ever done anything that is specifically in the realm of salsa, or like bachata is another popular one. But yeah, I've done a little bit of work combining social dance with partner poi. At one point, I had a partner poi partner who was quite skilled at ballet and partner work in ballet. So we did a lot of work combining that stuff together, and I thought it looked really cool, honestly. I have never done any solo stuff that incorporates salsa or social dance stuff into it, but I could definitely look into it for sure. Normally when I do my solo stuff, I'm really, really heavily influenced by modern dance and jazz and more recently hip-hop as well. There's been a lot of kind of hip hop ideas I've brought into my poi dance in the past couple of years. So those are normally the places where I go for my inspiration. And there's a bunch of choreographers that I follow online that I just look at them as like, how can I apply this idea to poi? None of them I don't think do social dance. Though. I could be wrong though. Yeah, let me see what else we got here. Jill Danskin says, thank you so much for explaining this. I figured out the terms that are used for hooping can be totally different than poi tricks. Yeah. At one point, I was trying to teach hoop tricks with poi names, and it did not take. It did not take at all, unfortunately. Oh, well. I am finally learning how to do it properly. Cool. I'm glad to hear that. Stanislas Bernadotte says, and combination with certain type of timing tricks with poi. Hope my questions are clear. Honestly, like there's just enough turns in them. I don't recognize that. I'm not entirely sure what's being asked there. I'm sorry, but I hope my answer was clear enough in what I do get. Um, Kan Yang says, I have problems with behind the back waist wrap turn. You and me both, pal. Doing any kind of behind the back stuff, I'm constantly suffering. It's not a good time. Um, Let me see if there's any other questions here because I really don't want to do behind the back stuff. I really don't like it. But yeah, I will let me check and see if there's anything else here that is immediately pressing, and if not, I will come back and do that. Anyway, Neil Murphy says rotating my shoulders more helps with the reverse 5-beat weave. Yeah, I could see that rotation around the spine. Yeah, that definitely that makes sense. Props Rex, cool to see a live stream. Thanks for all you do. My pleasure. Thanks for tuning in. Ism, I'm getting back into poi after like 2 years of not spinning. Hey, never too late to come back. I can do a lot of the super basic moves. 3-beat weave both ways, waterfall, couple super basic flowers, super basic. That's cool. What school of flow would you recommend me learning, getting back into poi? Poi dance, number one, and honestly, the Russian school is just like the flow that comes out of the Russian school of spinners is just so beautiful. It's all the tricks that we all know how to do, but there's the way that they do them just looks just like chef's kiss. Study Russian spinners. Their form is just incredible. And poi dance, honestly, would be the other thing that I would suggest for sure. Yeah, those would be my suggestions. And honestly, to anybody starting off, like study the Russian spinners, man. They the form of them is just flawless, just flawless. Jill Danskin, I got the 2-beat weave down, but have trouble with timing when putting both poi together. Do you have any suggestions? Drill your split timing. Yeah. Split timing is something that I think is not terribly intuitive to humans, which is unfortunate. It takes a lot of training, and you like have to check yourself in the mirror as you do it, which is not great. But just honestly, drill your split timing in itself. Like just sit in front of a mirror and just do split time in wheel plane for like 5 solid minutes. Try and see if you can keep it consistent. Even for people who've been spending a long time, keeping split time consistent for that long is actually really, really challenging. I know it sounds boring, but believe me, if you just like drill that split timing into your head so that like you can't not do it, it will make those 2 beats a lot easier, because then your mind will just be like, okay, split time, I know this, I'll find my way back here. Yeah, that would be what I would recommend, honestly. Drill the heck out of your split time. Magical Fox Roll says, oh my god, that's so cool. Thanks for your answer. That helps so much, and I love the move. I'm excited for the video in the future. Excellent. I was really afraid taking you down that toroids rabbit hole. People are just going to be like, Drex, you have lost your mind, son. So I'm glad that is something that is appealing to you. I think there was so much that we lost by like having the circus craze kind of interrupting work with toroids, but maybe we can bring it back. That at least I think is a really good use for toroids for sure. Ism says, thanks for everything you do, by the way. Your videos have been a godsend. My pleasure. I'm glad that they have been helpful. Magical Fox Girl. Audio note for later. Sometimes it seems at random you sound like you're a bit muffled for brief moments when talking, but still understandable overall. Hope the feedback helps. Yeah, that does help. That is annoying, though. I have looked into the idea of changing up my audio setup, because right now everything's coming through my AirPods, but like it is a known thing that AirPods, like the connection for them can sometimes be not very dependable when like talking on them. They don't make for the greatest headset. So there is actually another solution that I have looked at for my audio, and maybe this means I bump that up in the queue because I will also need that for when I live stream classes in a week and a half. Yeah, what is that? Starts August. August 9th. Yeah, August 9th is when I start is when I start live streaming the first unit of some classes on poi dance over at crowdcast.io/directsfactorpoi. So go check that out and sign up for that. But yeah, I will look into fixing the audio for that for sure. Thank you. That does help indeed. Stanislav Bernadotte says, you answer well, Drex, no worries. By the way, I love how you combine modern dance and poi. Thank you. Thank you so much. Ism says, any specific recommendations? Is this about the school of poi spinning question? Yeah, because I thought I did get some. Oh, for Russian spinners to follow. I mean, one day spin, Laura. So I've been corrected on the pronunciation of her name so many times. I'm not actually sure like how to pronounce it, but I think it's Lara Yo. Look her up on Instagram. She's like Lara space Lyo. I want to say. Look her up. Mel, of course, anti-spinner on Instagram. He's another great one to follow. Yeah, for sure. Oh, the church says, love your channel. Yay, I'm so glad to hear you love my channel. Lycan says, thank you, Drex. You're welcome. Squishy LB, are there still tricks in Poiland that you find yourself unable to land? Oh, yeah, tons. There is specifically a poi trick that I have been working on now for nearly 2 years, and I still have not landed it. I'm very, very close. And I keep doing this thing where I'll like grind it for weeks on end and I'll see some progress, and then like there will be something that happens in a specific week. Like there's a really demanding video I have to shoot that just like totally messes up my schedule, and I lose track of practicing regularly, and I like lose track of that progress, and then I kind of have to start again. But yeah, it's a gunslinger trick that involves doing spiral wraps back and forth in split time, same direction, which with any luck, I will be able to show that off sometime in either this year or next. I'd really like to be able to. But yeah, there's still tricks that I don't know how to land. There's still a ton of them. Yeah. I mean, that's just it. Like there's stuff that like I haven't tried, that I haven't encountered. There's plenty of it out there. Yeah, that's just one example. Is in the right context, toroids would look killer. I agree. There are plenty of contexts where I think toroids look awesome. There's a poi dance piece that I've been working on for the past 2 months that hopefully I'll get to shoot video of in August. That includes a bunch of toroids in it. So yes, I totally agree. Toroids look great in the right context, and I want to present them in the right context. Jillian Danskin, thank you. I'll start learning split timing. I literally love all your lives. You're an amazing teacher. Why, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Squishy LB, AirPods are terrible for that, but we hear you still. Yeah, no worries. So yeah, there's a wireless mic solution that Rode, RODE, makes that I found out recently one of my favorite YouTubers uses. So I'll look into investing in that because y'all deserve the best from me. So I will try and provide that for sure. What else? Khan Gang says, thanks, Drex. I have learned a lot of poi move performance from your channel and keeping learning every day after work. It's my release stress. Yes, it is my stress release as well. Oh, are you the one that... Oh, you're the one that asked about the behind the back waist straps. You see how I tried to run out the clock there? We've only got a few minutes left. All right, let me do the thing. All right. So waist straps behind the back spinning. I have a hard time teaching this because I don't know how I learned it. So I honestly think that the most intuitive way to learn how to do behind the back waist straps is just to forget the fact that there's a behind the back weave involved. Like if you carry your left hand behind your body and start with your right hand on top, you're going to wind up with your right hand below your left hand. You're going to carry them both over to the side and wind up with your left hand below your right, and you swoop it over. You bring them around both back behind, your right hand on top, boom, sweep it around over, bring them both around. You should wind up with your left hand on bottom, boom, bring it around on top, right hand on bottom, left hand on top, right hand on bottom, left hand on top. Yeah? Then you do that with the poi. This is what it looks like. You think right around, left around, right around, left around, right around, left around, right around, left around. This is what it looks like from the back. We do right around, left around, right around, left around, right around, left around, right around, left around. Yeah? Yeah, I legitimately think it's just a matter of thinking about like which hand has to go around the other hand when you reach each side. So when it's on your right side, it's your right hand goes around your left. When you're on your left side, it's your left hand goes around your right. Yeah? I'm sorry to say that to the end there, dear friend. Yeah, cool. We're almost at the end of the hour here. Angel Whitman. That looks like a Finnish name. Is that a Finnish name? Angel Whitman? Watching you is hypnotizing and your control is unreal. Thank you so much for what you do. My pleasure. My pleasure. Spangle Shunch says, are you a Sonic Youth fan? Yeah, I love Sonic Youth. I love Daydream Nation. That's probably my favorite Sonic Youth album. I didn't keep track of them very much in their later career. But yeah, I love Sonic Youth, especially like early 90s Sonic Youth. Yeah, like I love post-punk in general, and Sonic Youth definitely like had such a unique take on that. Yeah, I love Sonic Youth, absolutely. They're really, really fun to listen to. And definitely really inspiring for me, like when I was learning to play guitar, because of course, just all the wild textures that come up with are so incredibly cool. So yeah, big Sonic Youth fan. Or, I am a Sonic Youth fan. I won't say that I'm a big Sonic Youth fan because there's going to be people out there who's like, oh, have you heard this album? I heard that album. And probably maybe, I don't know. So yeah, I dig Sonic Youth for sure. And that, dear friends, that's our live stream for tonight. Yay! Thank you for joining me. Thank you for everybody who asked your wonderful questions. Once again, Tech Tips is sponsored by UltraPoi. To pick up a set of these OrbPoi Pros, you can do that by heading on over to ultrapoi.com and using the promo code DrexFactor with a 0 instead of an O at checkout. That gets you a discount and it helps out the channel, so everybody wins. Yeah, thanks once again to UltraPoi for sponsoring these live streams. They wouldn't be happening otherwise. Thank you all for your wonderful questions tonight. I'm going to go turn back on the AC and drink a whole bunch of water as soon as I get off camera here. Everybody have a wonderful Friday night, and I will see you next month with another installment of Tech Tips, which is probably going to be the last Friday of the month after it moved around a little bit this month. So, yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you then. Mwah. Take care. Have a good one. Peace out, dear friends. Later.